Lego is special. It's a stupid children's toy that allows anyone to pick up and create a masterpiece.
Why would you know where you're going?
I don't know what I'm doing!
You're going round in circles!
Ah! Shit! Fuck!
This sense of wonder and excitement is really what drew me to the Lego games. As a kid, they were some of my favorite games, playing things like Lego Indiana Jones, Lego Batman, Lego Star Wars The Complete Saga, you know, the GOAT. And after years of ignoring Lego games, my interest peaked after seeing the Lego Marvel collection on Steam. After I bought the game, of course, the world was hit by the flood virus from Halo. I then decided, instead of doing something productive with my time in quarantine, I should just 100% every single Lego game. So I'm deciding to document my journey to 100% all the Lego games, starting with Lego Marvel Avengers. The first game I played in my journey to 100% every Lego game is Lego Marvel Avengers. And honestly, I gotta be honest, this game surprised me. I didn't expect to enjoy this game as much as I did. Before I started this game, I wasn't actually going to 100% every Lego game. I was just gonna play this one, but after playing this one, it really ignited a love for these games. My only knowledge going into the game was that there was an open world, and I was playing through the Marvel Avengers movies, which I'm a huge fan of Marvel, but I genuinely was not expecting a lot, and I've honestly was completely surprised. The story mode in the game was probably the biggest surprise to me. Remembering the Lego games having no words made me hesitant at all to accept voice acting, especially since it was exactly ripped from the movies and put straight into the game. But I gotta admit, the voices did actually grow on me a lot. Something I thought Lego did that was extremely clever was they interpreted dialogue in a lot of different ways. So what they would do is they would have the character say something, and then the Lego character would be doing something comedic.
Loki is beyond reason, but he is my brother. He's adopted.
This made voice acting actually really, really fun and engaging, which is really hard when the audio is ripped directly from the movie. Of course, there were some parts that were a little wonky, but overall it worked really well. The story follows the Avengers and Age of Ultron, and then there's an additional 3 Phase 2 movies, which is Thor: The Dark World, Captain America: Winter Soldier, and Iron Man 3. But really those are just one levels, and its mainly focuses between the first 2 Avengers. The levels themselves were actually extremely well made, and it was really easy to recognize the scenes that were being used from the movie. The levels were mostly all good, with standouts like fighting through New York, recreating the scene of Thor and Hulk destroying that huge Chitauri ship, which is one of the best scenes of the first Avengers movie. And also just playing as all the Avengers as they're protecting that button, as all the Ultron drones are shining in. You get to play as that too, those are both really, really good moments to captivate, especially in Lego, and it's really fun to play through those moments. Unfortunately, there is, of course, a couple stinkers. The level Shakespeare in the Park is probably one big stinker for me, which is really sad because it's a really cool scene in the movie. The level takes place in the part of fighting Loki in Germany and then taking Loki in. The level opens up with you turning on runway lights on the helicarrier and then going inside. I don't know whose decision it was to make it that you spend a large part of a level where you're meeting Loki and then get to fight Thor as Iron Man on cleaning up a helicarrier, but it is a little bit lame, to be completely honest. And then also, unfortunately, the park section where you get to fight Thor as Iron Man is also done not very well, and it kind of sucks. It doesn't really feel like a fight. Instead, it feels like solve a puzzle, Thor shows up, solve another puzzle, Thor shows up, solve another puzzle, and then you defeat Thor. I would like it if it was more of, a fight, sort of. Because it genuinely just feels like, I know that's what LEGO games are, is you solve a puzzle, but it's very, like, linear instead of a big fight. It's like sections where you just solve a puzzle, and then Thor shows up and he does a little fuck with you a little bit. Another big, although the Loki fight does actually make up for it in the middle a little bit. So the level is still somewhat decent because that Loki fight in the middle is actually really fun. The only other stinkers, there are a couple other stinkers, and that's the Phase 2 film ones with Iron Man 3, Winter Soldier, and Thor: The Dark World. These levels have the player skipping through various parts of the movie, and honestly, it would have done them a lot better if they focused either on one big section of it, or they split it into 2 levels per movie. Because it's just 3 big sections, and it feels really rushed, and the pacing's all over the place, especially since you're switching between characters halfway through the levels, like 3 times. Like an example of what I mean is Iron Man 3 has a level play through Tony's house when he gets attacked and gets blown up. Him fighting with the kid and all the superhuman guys in that town. And then you got like the big bad fight at the end of all the suits. Literally that level would be so great if there was either the boy and Tony Stark level, and then there was a big suit level, and the levels were shorter but a little bit longer, or if it was just focused on that big suit level where you got to change suits as Tony Stark, or something really cool like that would have been awesome, where you change suits and you break them, and you do a lot of things. Like things like that would have probably improved it, but overall I think the levels were made very well, especially during story mode. Collectibles are the most important part of LEGO games. If a LEGO game has bad collectibles, is it really worth playing? And I'm really happy to say that the collectibles at LEGO Marvel Avengers is pristine. Throughout the game, the player can collect gold bricks, red bricks, character tokens, there's Stan Lee's to rescue, and really they're all very satisfying to collect and don't feel very tedious. There is a little bit of an issue with the overwhelming amount of things you can collect in levels, but overall, like once you start to get into the level, you actually appreciate that there is that much to collect. Going back in a level in free-to-play mode is just a staple in every single LEGO game. And Marvel Avengers has such a large amount of things to collect, so how does the free play actually work in it? Honestly, it feels really overwhelming at first. You have 10 mini-kits, 3 characters, Stan Lee, and a red brick, which is a fetch quest for a separate thing too. It genuinely does feel a little overwhelming when you first load into a level and see all the things that you have to collect. But as you play, you actually do really enjoy the abundance of things to collect. I think my favorite thing that it does with this abundance is having 3 individual character tokens in each level. Characters are the best part of a LEGO game. I think most people can agree on that. And having the ability to unlock 3 characters in every single level really made me want to just rush through free playing these levels, and really I wanted to free play these levels and get every unlock. And on top of that, really, there is such a large amount of characters anyway that unlocking these are all really cool, and they save a lot of cool ones in the levels too. In it, there is also rescue quests for the collector and Stan Lee. The collector is found, and then you have to go fetch an item for him, and he'll give you a red brick. It's actually done really well in this game, because when you find the collector, you're able to go get something, and it actually points to it using one of the red brick unlocks actually does point to where you have to go, which is extremely useful. But they're really easy to find, and I never found myself actually having an issue, and then rescuing Stan Lee from whatever crazy situation he is literally always a blast, because Stan Lee is hilarious in the LEGO games. The thing I was genuinely looking forward to the most out of the game when I first bought it was the hub world. Um, a lot of the games I had previously, like Lego Star Wars: The Clone Wars, Lego Batman, Lego Indiana Jones, they all had really tiny hub worlds, like really tiny hub areas. Like a Star Wars had Mos Eisley. Indiana Jones was just was the museum that you could go around in, and then Batman was just the Batcave, and then you could also go in Arkham, but it was very small. So then seeing this new one has a open Manhattan that I can explore sounded really, really cool to me, and honestly, it did not disappoint at all. I spent so much time in the hub world just flying around, checking out areas and everything like that, and the hub world is full of so many collectibles and activities, like it's insane. There's also a really good map system in this game that will point to. It's a little ping, so it's a little annoying to see sometimes, but it's really easy to figure out where everything is using the map system. I really like it. The hub world has a ton of collectibles and activities, though. There's gold bricks, which are solved by completing puzzles. There's character unlocks that you can get, which you'll find these characters, then they have a quest that you have to do for them, and that can involve like fighting enemies or finding people or taking them to a certain place. It's kind of cool. The best part about Marvel Avengers is the multiple hubs. Some of them are genuinely a lot lamer than others, but they do all actually have a uniqueness to them, which is really cool. Like, you can tell which one you're in by looking at every spot. There's 8 different hub worlds that you can visit, and if I had to rank each one, I put Manhattan at the top because it's massive. Washington DC next, and all the other ones are a lot smaller. Washington DC I would put next because it's really, really cool. You know, you got the whole thing, and then you also have this underground Hydra base. Asgard, because, you know, Asgard's awesome. Malibu, you get to explore Tony Stark's mansion. That's really cool. There's a lot of really cool things there. Wilton, the Barton's farm. Hawkeye's farm is kind of boring, I'll be honest. But it's kind of nice and peaceful compared to everything else. The Shield base, it's just a military base. It's kind of boring. Sokovia, it's just a destroyed city. It's like just being Manhattan. South Africa, it's just a big field with a bunch of broken ships. It is very boring, but it kind of looks cool. Now, the hub worlds, having this amount of hub worlds and all these collectibles in each one actually does seem super overwhelming, which I know I've said a ton in this review, but I cannot stress this enough. It does seem a really overwhelming, but what you got to do with the hub worlds is you start in a section and you just go one at a time each thing, and you'll eventually just get in a rhythm that's really hard to get out of. Well, now it's time to talk about the best part of every single LEGO game, and that's the characters. If you're a fan of the MCU, then this game is actually your wet dream. The characters in this game are absolutely phenomenal. There are a ton of effort put into the character design and everything with LEGO. It's amazing. Like, all the main Avengers have a ton of different variations and everything. It's really, really fucking cool. There is a huge mix of MCU characters, and there's a huge mix of comic ones. But unfortunately, the Fantastic Four and the X-Men are left out. Unlike Marvel Superheroes 1, which I have not played yet, but I do know that they are in it. But I'll cover that game later. In order to keep this short, I'm going to name my top 5 characters of each game. So number 5 for Marvel Superheroes is Detroit Steel, and he just looks really, really cool, and he's a big robot. Really cool in LEGO form, I'm just saying. Number 4, Fing Fang Foom. The fact that you can transform into this big dragon, just grow to insane levels, and just stomp around Manhattan and just terrorize people. It's always fun. It's really cool to be able to fly around the hill map. It's also kind of funny to get stuck with him. 3, Lightspeed. The speedsters in this game are just amazing. Like, the speedsters are just so much fun. They're really easy to control when you go around. Holding B is really convenient, and you can go really fast. Really fun to use. And then Lightspeed can, of course, fly, so that makes her my personal favorite. Number 2, Stanley. Honestly, how can you not have Stanley in your top 5? He has every ability in the game. He can fly, he can transform into the Hulk, he has his own Iron Man suit in this one. It's really, really good. And the best character in this game, I think, is Iron Man. Something I did not expect going into this game was that my favorite character would be a character who's in the main story, like playable throughout the entire game in the story. But honestly, I have to say that Iron Man is probably the coolest character in this game. And this is weird because LEGO tends to save the coolest ones to unlockables. But there is so much care put into this Iron Man that it makes this game shine tremendously. So Tony Stark is able to transform into 15 different Iron Man suits. And each suit has its own unique put-on animation. Like when you switch to it, it plays a unique animation. And they all have, a lot of them have a bunch of different unique abilities. You can play as the Mark 1 suit, and you can go all the way up to the Superior Iron Man suit, which is just amazing. I cannot stress how much I am actually in love with the Iron Man in this game. So I know that the DLC is probably not the best for everyone and not a lot of people care about it, but I really wanted to add a DLC section to this game because I think it's really important to talk about, since in order to actually 100% this game, you have to own all the DLC. But I will say the DLC in this game is decent, but I really want, so how I'm going to actually talk about each DLC is I'm just going to quickly rapid fire go through the level packs and go through the character packs, and I'm just gonna give them a rating and then we'll just see how it compares. So Ant-Man, this level was actually a lot of fun. I'm gonna be honest. You get to shrink down and you get to destroy a ton of computers. Like, it's really cool being able to shrink down into the computers and destroy them, although I think it could have been done a little bit better. But the characters actually look really good in LEGO form, and being able to play as Anthony is actually amazing. Really good inclusion. 8 out of 10. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. level was really boring. Boss fight at the end wasn't interesting at all. And the characters are very boring unless you know who they are in the show, which I've seen the show, so I know who they were, which was kind of cool, but a lot of them are just agents with guns. And a tiny little difference. So you don't really use them in the game anyway. Only get if you're a fan of the show. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. Doctor Strange. This level does not overstay its welcome. It's short, it's sweet, the puzzles are fun, it's concise, it's awesome. And I think it's a really cool part when you get to the section where it's Dormammu and you just have to turn off his TV. It's so clever. Characters are interesting as hell, and Dormammu is a ton of fun to use in the actual game. I'm giving this one actually a 10 out of 10. Black Panther. Level plays very well. Boss fight is a tad bit lame. I will be honest, there's a couple boss fights, and fighting Claw is a little lame, but the characters are very cool. It just, the problem is with these characters, there's not really a lot of incentives to use them in the game, but I still think it's a lot of cool. The level just could have been a little bit more interesting. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Classic Captain Marvel. Level has a really boring aesthetic as you stay in a courtyard for the first part. The second part is a little bit more exotic, where you're on buildings. It's a little bit more interesting, but the problem is there's a whole gimmick that you can't fly. It's really annoying, especially when you're trying to free play it, because you can't even fly with the free play characters. So yeah, but there is a very large variety of extremely cool characters that actually does save the pack. These characters are amazing, so I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Masters of Evil. This level is awesome. This level's awesome. It takes place in a city. The humor of the pack is really good, and the characters are all really goofy and fun. I really love the classic Iron Man, where it's just a Lego piece with just print on it. Really cool. And the classic Thor actually just looks like a classic Thor. It's really cool. It's and they made them more simple Legos, which is even cooler. The only thing that I think would lower this pack a little bit is the characters are, there is a couple characters where you will not use again, but other than that, it's so good that I would recommend it. It's a 9 out of 10 for me. Now it's on to the character packs. Civil War. This pack actually has a lot of really good design for characters. It's just, the problem is the characters are all reskins of other characters that are already in the game. But I will say it's really cool. Also, it's missing Spider-Man, but I know why it's missing Spider-Man. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Spider-Man pack. I'm just gonna be honest, this is the best character pack. It adds a bunch of different versions of Spider-Man. It adds a new way to go around the map with web slinging, and it's free. Like, these characters all feel different. I'm giving this a 10 out of 10. The Avengers Explorer pack, this pack is lame as fuck. It's got 2 pretty bad looking Iron Man suits, but I will say Iron Skull is pretty cool. But I'm giving this a 2 out of 10. It's lame as fuck. It has 3 characters. Avengers Adventurer. This and the Explorer pack should have just been put into one, and it still would have been lame as fuck. But at least it would have been better than 2 separate packs. Adventurer has also 3 packs, and it is just lame as fuck. It's got Captain America, Space and Scuba. It's got the Captain America Scuba. Although Hyperion is in it, and he's kind of cool, but I'm giving this one a 1 out of 10. Finally, the Thunderbolts. I don't know much about the Thunderbolts, I'll be perfectly honest, but the pack is awesome. From what I can understand, it's very, very close to its source material, and the characters are awesome. They're cool looking characters, they're unique. Sign me the fuck up, that's all I want in a character pack. 9 out of 10. Overall, I gotta be honest, this game was so much fun. 100%ing this was... It reminded me of why these Lego games are so fucking fun. When you 100% a Lego game, it doesn't feel like a hassle. A lot of games when you're trying 100%, let's say, there's a lot of challenges, there's a lot of unique achievements that are really, really annoying to get, and it just feels like a big grind. The Lego games are able to stay in this bite-sized grind where you're only spending like 20 hours. I spent 20 hours in this game overall. And I just get this bite-sized fun chunk where I can just turn off my brain, just smash bricks, just do whatever I want, and it's just a ton of fun. And I'll be honest, playing this game actually reignited my passion for this, and it led to me playing through all the Marvel games and all the Batman games. So I will actually go on and record videos of me reviewing those too. I just need to go do that. I have like thoughts written down, but I need to actually record me talking about it. But it's going to be really interesting to see how these Lego games all change, because I missed a ton of them. But I really look forward to keep going and really just understand how awesome these Lego games are. So, I'd say Lego Marvel Avengers, it was a really, really good game, and I am excited to move forward in my quest to 100% every single Lego game. Thanks for watching. If you appreciate the video, you know, you can do that subscribe thing, or if you don't want to, I can't control you. You know, like the video, that could help. But again, I can't control you. Thanks for watching. If you stuck around this far, I appreciate it. I know this video might have been kind of long for a Lego review, but I wanted to write down all my thoughts. This is the first video of this series. I'm hoping that it will get better as it goes on. I'm sorry if there's any like rough patches in it, but I really appreciate you sticking around. I also apologize about like maybe my wording will be a little inconsistent sometimes. It's because I have thoughts written down from when I played these games a while ago, and now I'm just going down and sitting down and writing these videos, making these videos about each one, because I think it would be a lot of fun for me to be able to write these videos and stuff like that. But genuinely, thank you for watching this video. If you made it this far, you are a boss. And honestly, I'll see you guys later.